Picture driving a brand new $120,000 flagship electric vehicle at 75 miles per hour on the highway. You press the brake pedal, and the car maintains its speed. The power assist is gone. You are suddenly trying to stop 5,000 pounds of metal with just the physical force of your leg. In June 2025, BMW filed Federal Recall 25V395. The integrated brake module inside 71,847 of their flagship electric vehicles, including the iX, i4, i5, and i7, was failing. At the same time, BMW filed a separate recall for those very same vehicles. A software error in the electric drive motor could randomly shut down the high-voltage system while driving. One defect stops the car without warning. The other removes your ability to stop it. A mechanical engineering company with a century of experience is struggling to execute basic physics. We have to look at how an industrial empire builds hardware this beautiful and code this broken. This chart shows BMW's financial trajectory. Operating profit dropped 11.5% in a year, and the stock fell 23% from its 2024 peak. Their price-to-earnings ratio now trails behind Tesla and Mercedes. The market is pricing BMW as an industrial asset in decline. This slide is happening to a company that survived near destruction multiple times. In 1916, BMW was born building aircraft engines for World War I. After World War II, their factories were almost leveled by Allied bombing. By 1959, the company was on the verge of bankruptcy. They survived because a tiny city car called the BMW 700 sold in numbers nobody expected, providing the cash flow to keep the doors open. They used that survival to focus on mechanical obsession. By committing to 50-50 weight distribution and the refinement of the inline-six engine, they engineered the ultimate driving machine. BMW's current crisis is not an accident of shifting consumer tastes. Management systematically dismantled their own engineering legacy through a series of calculated choices. The product problems began with a single financial decision: the platform compromise. Instead of designing electric vehicles from the ground up, BMW bolted an electric motor onto a combustion engine chassis. This shared approach created immediate physical limitations. The vehicles were heavier, less aerodynamic, and offered less battery range than competitors. Buyers noticed. They realized they were paying a premium price for a machine that was compromised before it even left the factory. That lack of focus triggered a collapse in BMW's most important market, China. At its peak, China accounted for over 1/3 of all of BMW's global sales. Then, local brands introduced superior software and localized infotainment. BMW lost 200,000 annual sales in that region in just 2 years. BYD is vertically integrated, mining lithium and manufacturing cells. Controlling this supply chain lets BYD build competitive electric vehicles for 30% less than BMW. These sales figures represent a structural displacement. Local brands have captured the market segment BMW once owned by offering better technology at lower prices. When an engineering powerhouse fails to deliver quality, you have to ask if the culture inside the boardroom actively chose profit over the user. In 2021, the European Commission fined BMW and the Volkswagen Group €875 million. BMW executives had held secret meetings with rivals, operating an illegal cartel for 5 years. They had the technology to clean up diesel exhaust, but they colluded to ensure none of them would compete on emissions technology. They chose to keep their cars more polluting than required by law to save money. That prioritization moved into engine design. With the N63 V8, BMW placed twin turbochargers inside the V of the engine block to save space. The heat cooked the valve stem seals until the engines burned oil at rates that were impossible to maintain. Then, in 2022, they pushed further. BMW placed a software lock on heated seats, asking owners to pay an $18 monthly subscription to activate hardware they already paid for when they bought the car. The company signaled how it views its customers. They stopped seeing drivers as partners and started treating them as a recurring revenue stream attached to a car BMW still partially owns. To understand this cost, look at the M badge. In 1978, the BMW M1 was a purpose-built racing machine that defined uncompromised performance. 45 years later, BMW announced the return of the standalone M-Far with the XM. It is a 6,000-pound hybrid SUV, heavier than a Ford F-150. A vehicle this heavy cannot deliver the driving dynamics the M-Dodge once promised. In the United States, it became BMW's worst-selling vehicle and a joke among the brand's core enthusiasts. BMW is hedging. They are running pilot programs for hydrogen fuel cell vehicles, like the iX5, in case battery EV adoption faces structural barriers. By chasing ultra-wealthy buyers with bloated products, BMW hollowed out the credibility of its performance division. Facing a declining market share, BMW is making its biggest gamble yet, the Neue Klasse architecture. This abandons combustion platforms. It replaces legacy systems with a centralized computing architecture designed to manage everything from driving dynamics to artificial intelligence. Success depends on hitting battery targets, 30% more range and a 50% reduction in cost. That cost reduction is the only way BMW can compete with BYD without destroying its own profit margins. To execute this, the leadership must convince a workforce built on a century of mechanical expertise to pivot into a software and battery company. If the Neue Klasse succeeds, BMW will have successfully re-engineered its industrial identity. If the software ships buggy, the current decline becomes a permanent collapse. While BMW struggles to write code for a machine, the company we are covering next has so much data that its own engineers cannot fully understand what they know. They currently hold so much dominance in their core business that they have become a global digital monopoly. Federal judges have declared this company an illegal monopoly, while its own secret AI lab builds technology that could render their core search business obsolete. Next week on Strategy Lens, we are performing a full autopsy on Google. We will break down the antitrust case that could force one of the most powerful companies on Earth to be broken apart. Subscribe now to see how this ends.